I do have interest, though, in the return of Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor, particularly Jonathan Taylor, who I drafted a lot in fantasy football. What do you think happens with Taylor? And we can get to the tush push maybe in a minute, but what do you think happens with Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp upon their return here, dudes?
Honestly, I've been saying this for the longest, even in the offseason throughout training camp. I thought the best place for Jonathan Taylor was right there with the Indianapolis Colts and Shane Steichen. Now, again, can relationships be, patched up? We'll see with the Indianapolis Colts. It seems like it came to a head with Jonathan Taylor, and he seemed like he didn't want to play for the Colts at all. Him and Jim Irsay supposedly had words. We'll see where that is. And we know this with the locker room and football period. It's a really unique job, right, where guys say things. And at the end of the day, we're all here for one common goal, right? You can kind of patch things up and get things going. But if you just look at the history of Shane Steichen when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles and Miles Sanders in the career year he had, I mean, if you're Jonathan Taylor, like if you were healthy in the beginning of the year, I thought he could go for 1,800 yards in that offense just because you have a freak of nature at quarterback in Anthony Richardson. And with the zone read and RPO, like defenses have to respect that so much. It's going to slow linebackers and defensive ends down. So it's going to open up holes for Jonathan Taylor. So we've seen, Zach Moss? Zach Moss has had some success in that offense already. Just imagine Jonathan Taylor in that offense. And I don't think he ends up being traded. I think he'll be right there. In regards to Cooper Kupp, he's going to go back to that number one role. We know Puka Nacua has been an amazing story. And it'll be a good number 3 receiver for him now because Tutu Atwell, to me, is their number 2 guy. But Cooper Kupp is going to get the target share when he comes back.
You think so?
I know so.
Puka Nacua has been good.
He's been balling, but I think Matt Stafford really trusts,
Matthew Stafford's the wide receiver kingmaker. Like Calvin Johnson
is okay, hold on. Matt Stafford made Calvin Johnson?
No. Like if you look at the
that's hilarious.
What?
Calvin Johnson had the single biggest wide receiver fantasy season of all time. And then it was beaten by Cooper Kupp, and now Puka Nacua is on track for it.
You could have put any quarterback with Calvin Johnson, and Calvin Johnson would have had a huge fantasy season.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, but he had the greatest
yards with me at quarterback.
He had 2,000
he's
yards.
A freak. Like Calvin Johnson walked in the NFL and he could throw on a gold jacket. We've never seen a receiver that moves like that with his size.
I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying.
I think it'll be interesting to see where Sean McVay, what he does with the reads and with the offense. He's so good at diagramming things to get guys open. Who does he prioritize? Who does he kind of work to? Does he kind of balance that out between the two? Because they're both going to get a lot of targets. In regards to Taylor, the game's the reward. And I do wonder, because like a lot of players, when they talk about, I'm going to sit out or I might be done this year and all that. It's not hard until you start seeing teams playing. And then you start seeing teams playing, you're like, oh, this is it. Like, this is what you miss. This is obviously all the work. Some guys love the process, the work that goes behind it. Yeah. But, like, the game is what you cherish the most. And I do wonder if that maybe changed Jonathan Taylor's feelings towards the Colts, towards Jim Irsay and his comments and the situation they're in. And if he's looking at Shane Steichen and if he's looking at the AFC South going, well, everyone is 2-2 right now.
I was about to say that, too. Like
we're all in it. Yeah. And Zach Moss, to your point's running well. Anthony Richardson is looking like he's going to be a stud. Maybe this isn't a bad deal for me to get through this year.
And then figure it out.
Yeah. It's honestly, that's probably what's best for him. But again, I think he's going to play to prove at least that he's healthy enough in order for a team to give anything as far as decent trade value, right, Will?
Yeah, and I think, too, I also don't understand why the Colts don't look at this as, okay, we have Anthony Richardson, who's looked really good as a rookie, surprisingly good at both passing and running the football on this rookie contract. We cannot pay him for the next 3 years. Why don't we just give Jonathan Taylor this deal that gives him close enough to what he wants over the next 3 years? You're not even close to the salary cap. Who gives a crap if you have to give up like some cash to pay this running back? I think you pay Taylor and bring him in and keep him around there and make life easier for Anthony Richardson. But that's just my.
I haven't looked at the roster, so I'm kind of asking this question here on a whim. But who else would be up next?
Pittman's up after this year, I think.
Okay.
Pittman,
I don't. Does that look like as far as
what type of money is
he's not going to reset the market? But that's the other thing is the considerations for who else is there that they need to extend.
And we've talked about this before, right? I think this is where the owners are banding together to draw a line in the sand. I don't even think it has anything to do with Jonathan Taylor. I think it has to do with his position, and rightfully so. We see Saquon Barkley already banged up this year, right? So they just don't want to play running backs that type of money anymore. And to Will's point, you're not paying anybody else. I think if you were in the realm of $15 million, I think they should get a deal done around then. Like I think Christian McCaffrey's making 17 or something like that. You're not paying him Christian McCaffrey money, but you get $14, $15 million. And I don't know, because there was reports about Jonathan Taylor and he had multiple agents, had one guy, then they had another guy, and they were like, we're not going to negotiate with the new guy. I don't know if somebody needs to sit down and talk to him and be like, look here, you're a running back in this league. As far as longevity, the history shows like dudes get hurt. You've been hurt. Matter of fact, you're coming off an injury right now. Get some financial security for the future instead of playing out this year. But the thing was, it seemed like the Colts didn't even want to negotiate with him, period, anyway. So I don't know where they go from here. If he plans on getting a new deal next year, even though they can tag him, he has to prove that he can be healthy first and foremost anyway. So